I starting this time? Is that how we're going to do it? You want me to start?
Oh,
this time?
I think I started the last couple of times, so
doesn't matter to
maybe
me.
people like hearing your voice off the rip.
I don't think it really matters which of us start, because I'm sure that both of us will have plenty to say over the next little while. Well, anyhow, welcome to another edition of Racin It Out. I'm Todd, she's Caitlin, and we have a whole bunch of things that we want to talk about. Undoubtedly, we'll get to some topics about food.
Yeah,
Because I got a couple things that I can mention about food, because you and I haven't talked for a little while, so we can talk about.
Is this our first podcast of 2023?
Yes, it is. Of course. I mean, it's only the middle of January, so yeah, absolutely. What's the your over under on when you can say Happy New Year and when you should stop saying Happy New Year?
Oh, I stopped like last week.
Oh yeah, ages ago.
It was like last Monday. It was like, we're done. A few people that maybe I had meant to touch base with the last couple of weeks, I'd be like, I hope you're enjoying the new year, but I'm not going to say Happy New Year at this point. Like, it's the 17th. Come on.
That's the subtle way around it, I guess. Enjoy it. Enjoy the new year. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So let's get into something that we have been hoping to talk about for, well, we'll just say quite some time now. But earlier today, it was officially released, NASCAR Pinty schedule for 2023. Are you going to put up a graphic here?
Yeah, sure. I'll put up a graphic.
Okay,
I'll put the graphic up.
Yeah, put the graphic up.
I worked hard on it. I'll put the graphic up.
Let's see all the hard work that you've done. Absolutely. So if you liked last year, you should really like this year, I think, is maybe the way to look at it. Because if you compare the schedules side by side, as I did earlier today, there's very little difference from 22 to 23. I don't have a problem with that. The added race is that there will now be two races at Oleksii, a Monday and Tuesday dirt track race each day, which is not a great deal different from last year, because there were heat races on the Monday before the feature event on the Tuesday. So it's very much identical to what it was last year. How much positive feedback have you seen so far? And we're still early in the process. And how much, well, I don't think I like that, and how much crap on it feedback have you seen so far on social channels?
I've seen, and we'll get into this part, I've seen some crap on the fact that there are a few omissions that maybe a few people were expecting.
Well, that's on them then, because they were assuming something was going to happen.
Listening to the series gossip. Until we put it, there's a lot of gossip in this series. So I've heard a couple of some downward talk about the omissions. I've seen some downward talk about the doubleheader at Oleksii.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, a lot of people, maybe didn't go to the race, only watched on the broadcast, don't really see the value in it. To speak to that point, these teams put a lot of money into those cars, those dirt cars. So to give them two full paying races on dirt,
it's fine.
I
don't think it's a big
deal. Teams
deal.
like it.
I don't think it's a big deal one way or the other. I think you'll probably get as many people that are in favor of it as against it, in terms of those teams participating. Some will like to race on dirt, others won't like it.
Right. It's like you have, I know Trayton Lapsevich is hella excited.
Sure. He won. Why wouldn't you be? He got a big check. Why wouldn't you be excited?
He likes Oleksii.
Yeah. Well, what's not to like? I get that. So that's cool. There was talk of other venues coming into the series and or returning to the series. And this was sort of sprayed out into the universe, and many people took that as it's a done deal. It'd be happening, that there would be a return to Riverside Speedway. And I get that to the first impression of, oh, this makes sense. That means there's two races in the East.
Just drive right by it.
Well, right. There are two stops when the Pinty series goes to Western Canada and Saskatoon. And it does make sense. Now,
let's look at the checklist of things you have to do and have to achieve and reach before you can even be the idea of a NASCAR sanctioned race can come to your venue.
Now, we'll use Riverside as the example. As you would think that they have previously held Pinty's events there, so they check an awful lot of boxes right away, and that they have it's a beautiful track, it's a good facility, teams are familiar with it, it has all the infrastructure that is necessary, et cetera, et cetera. They hold regular racing events, some significant racing events. It's a fun facility to go visit, great racing, and we have a good time when we go there. Now, it's one thing to say, hey, we'll join the circus again and have a race. That's great. There's an awful lot of planning and logistics to figure in. Okay, so where is this race going to go? Obviously, it's going to be near the event in Newfoundland. Okay, is it before? Is it after? Is it midweek? Is it on a weekend? How long is the trip going to be? Adding another race of that stature costs the teams a significant amount of money, even though it's on the same trip, and even though there's economies of scale being in the same vicinity, it's a significantly extra cost to add that in. And
because you're also talking about potentially having to add in a backup car now, and that means having to bring those backup cars potentially all the way to eastbound, which means drivers, and you lose out. You have to pay potentially extra if you're a team like White Motorsports that has had 5-6 cars last year. You're basically doubling that ferry budget.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of costs involved. Not to mention, it would be a significant investment by the track to have such an event, to plan and have such an event. And there is a sanctioning fee that is paid to NASCAR, which is no small amount.
And I feel like that's maybe something fans don't know. They don't know how the inner workings of this schedule how it happens.
Right.
But we don't, outside of, COVID years where we were renting out venues because that's the only way you could have events, especially 2020. In every other sense of the word, tracks pay the sanctioning body, i.e. NASCAR Cup, NASCAR Xfinity, NASCAR Pinty's, APC, anything like that. I actually don't know if it is the same for APC, but tracks pay the sanctioning body to bring their events to them and to their fans. And
it's no different than a concert venue. Decides they want to have a performer in to do a show. Great. You have to pay the performer to get there and put on the show, because we're in the entertainment business. I know everybody doesn't want to hear that, but this is the entertainment business. So you want the act to come to town, you have to pay them to be there.
Right. And so depending,
that's a fairly significant outlay, and maybe you got to sell tickets, maybe you want to sponsor for the event, maybe you have other business arrangements and suites that you want to sell. So it's a very complicated process.
Yeah, because it falls onto the track then that is paying, they pay NASCAR the sanctioning fee, and then the track is responsible to we get a cut of the ticket sales and they get a cut of broadcasting, but for the most part they take over the responsibility to sell tickets, to find sponsorship, to fill those stands and get that hospitality, to make that revenue back.
Yes. And ideally make a profit.
Exactly.
So it's not as easy as saying, oh, you should put this race on the schedule instead of that one. The reason the races are on the schedule for 2023 is because there's a business plan in place. There's a relationship. Some had sanctioning agreements that extended into this year previously, so those would remain in place. But it is a very long and complicated process to put on a race, to put on a show, if you will, because that's what this is. And I think it's unfair for people to just bitch about, oh, how come you're not going to that track? Well, there are reasons why. This is not to say that conversations weren't had with multiple other facilities about holding Pinty Series events, because I can tell you, and I'm sure you can too, with great confidence, that some of those conversations were had. doesn't mean that they won't resurface in the
Mhm.
future, and there might
Doesn't
be
mean
other
they're
things
still not
coming.
ongoing.
Right. So
Even if we look at Eastbound as an example, Eastbound had been in talks with NASCAR for years about
yes.
them coming, or NASCAR for us to come to Newfoundland. And we just got a race last year. Now, certain changes had to be made to the track. You had to figure out how to get cars across the ocean
Yes.
to get to this track.
Kind of a big
Those
deal.
aren't things you just throw on a schedule and you're like, yeah, we'll figure it out. That takes years of planning. So when you
Yes.
look at some tracks of like, oh, I want to go to this track or this track or this track, you really have to look and it's like, is this track up to NASCAR's standards of safety?
Mhm.
Eastbound had to have a lot of changes done, and they're going to have changes again this year probably.
Yes.
Do they have the infrastructure to hold a NASCAR event? Do they have internet? Do they have
Yeah.
Eastbound? Do they have
And others.
no, most of them, unfortunately.
The
But
most common sight at a lot of NASCAR Pinty's events, I got to back up to do this, is this.
yeah,
Because Caitlin or somebody is holding their phone up in the air, hoping to get internet.
I have a
service.
picture, I think, every single year I've worked for NASCAR of me holding my phone up trying to get service. It's
hilarious
ridiculous.
is what it is. But we all
it's
do
hilarious because Todd likes to laugh at me for doing it.
No,
but
but
it's ridiculous.
It happens far more often than you would think. And you know, the events that are long-standing and in place across North America, that's another one. But you know, like big events, IndyCar events, Formula One events, they have problems with internet service. And once you have a large crowd come into a facility, that only amplifies the difficulties with internet service, because everybody in the seats is wanting to go, hey, I'm going to get a picture of this. So I'm going to post this
to Instagram
Insta or TikTok, and everybody's doing it. So it only slows the service down for it. So yeah, it happens. It happens
everywhere
all the time. But these
those
are the
questions.
Right. This is all comes into the equation.
And then even just outside of racing, us as a sport and as a tourism industry, are there hotels, restaurants, rental cars, flights? Like, how are people going to get there? What are they going to do? Where are they going to stay? And the biggest one that I think a lot of people don't realize is the market big enough to host a major sporting event? There's a reason you don't see Hockey Canada or the World Juniors going to, like, I don't know, like my hometown, Kempville, Ontario, like, because they don't have the infrastructure.
Right.
And that's kind of sports business 101 for hosting events.
Now,
there are a lot of check boxes that have to be reached.
You're absolutely right. Here now, the other part of it is, from the fan perspective, that's of no concern to them. No. It's like, I don't care about that. I want to see the race. I want to see the event. I want to see it come to town. And that's great, because but these are the steps that have to take place before you can get to that. Once
years
it's
down the line,
once it's signed off and the contracts are in place and you start promoting it and making everyone aware of it, then those fans that are coming to attend don't care about this. Like, great, they're coming. When can I get tickets? When can I go? What are the attractions? What are the other parts of it? But you have to be prepared to answer all those questions too, because people are immediately going to say, okay, when can I get tickets? How much are they? Where can I sit? Can I reserve my seat? Can I bring my dog? Can I buy food there? Or do I have to bring my own, or vice versa? Like, all of these things have to be answered and put into place before you make the big announcement and unveil. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on to it. But honestly, I'm very good having an almost identical schedule in 23 as we had in 22. We had a great year in 22.
It was a good year. And I think for this year, there's a lot of transition going on. So it's a certain, like, if you look at our schedule in 2007 compared to today, it is vastly different. But every single year was just a little bit different, or was the same for maybe 2 years in a row. Fans and sponsors and drivers and teams and everybody in the industry rely on that consistency. There's a reason why. Exactly. There's a reason why NASCAR Cup starts at Daytona every single year. And you know what? Like, they've changed their championship race a couple times. It happens. But there are those keynote races. It's like, you can expect that we're going to go to Daytona. You can expect that we're going to go to CTMP. You can expect there are expectations, because consistency is key in bringing those fans back.
The other part of consistency and date equity, you're right. CTMP on the Victoria Day long weekend and the Labor Day long weekend, those are staples of the schedule. Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, staple on the schedule. There's other shuffling that takes place. And it's interesting that you mentioned Cup, and it starts in Daytona, because there's always some that are suggesting, it almost happens on a yearly basis, that maybe we shouldn't have the Daytona 500 as the first race of the season. It seems odd that this giant event is the first race of the season. Other series don't necessarily have that. IndyCar has the 500, but that's not until May, and the series starts in March. The Formula One at Monaco is like a staple event. It's in May. The series starts much earlier. And these are just a couple of examples. It's partly based on climate, in that Florida is conducive to racing in February and Wisconsin isn't. So things like that come into play. But I do think that there's the balance you have to think about in terms of stability, date equity, but not becoming stale. You want to have unique and different things. The Clash of the Coliseum was great last year. I'm interested to see how the Chicago event does this year.
Hey, I'm glad we're not racing on that day.
It's a big event, and I think it'll come off well. Event. I don't know how the racing will be. These are the things that you want to find out. So I think having some little adjustments, surprises, and changes here and there is kind of a positive to keep interest and to keep things growing, because you want to have new attractions for people to come to as well. If you have longtime fans that say, well, yeah, I've been to that race, or I've been to that race and I've seen it, but it's like, oh, here's a new event. This might be cool. I might want to go see something like that. So you got to find the right balance here and there.
And I think that's a thing that maybe a lot of Pinty's fans aren't seeing, is we did 2 new events last year, which is a lot for our series. It's a lot for our teams, our drivers, the crews, like the NASCAR officials. It's a lot. Having to figure out all those things we just talked about within a year is a lot. Now, maybe we just need some stability.
Exactly right. And that's why I mean, like, having the almost identical schedule in 23 as we had in 22, I think that's a good thing. Have you have you felt over the last couple of weeks that since 23 arrived and everybody, toasted and said cheers and Happy New Year, woo, and all the rest of it, and some started on the dry January and or February, and others have just maintained their lifestyle. I find every year that it's like, okay, everybody wants to talk about, what are we doing? What's our program? What's happening here? I've had more conversations in the last week, and emails and text messages and DMs, like just from all kinds of different stakeholders about the start of the season. Now, part of that is because the season is starting in a week or two for IMSA. So
yeah, like, isn't 24 hours this weekend?
End of the month. The Roar is this weekend, which is the preseason event, and then the 24 is the weekend after.
Oh, so I am going to be back for it. I thought I was going to miss it because I thought it was this weekend.
It's a fantastic event. I went last year. It's an amazing event.
Are you going this year?
I don't know. I won't say no, but I'm not sure.
You have a week and a half to figure it out, Todd.
Yeah, I have a week and a half to figure it out. So, but it was, I went last year because I had an assignment to do. I went to interview Robert Wickens after his return to racing in the Michelin Pilot Series. But it's often thought like, oh, how do you stay awake for 24 hours? It's no problem. It is no problem. I've done the event at Sebring before. It's a 12 hours. It is no problem, because the same adrenaline that you have running for a 2-hour race or an extended period of 3 hours or whatever, from introductions to the end of the race or whatever, it just goes longer. It just extends for 24 hours. That same intensity and adrenaline goes for 24 hours. And it's amazing to witness and be a part of.
Yeah, it is on my bucket list. And it's hard because it's like, I really do love doing the 500. So it's really hard to do the 24 hours, fly all the way back, and then like a week and a half later, fly back down to Daytona. So it's like, it's almost worth it to just like get a condo for the month.
Come on down, stay a few weeks, put your feet up, go to the beach. The beach is right there. It's not far from the track. Yeah, it's good. So, but I know there, and this is the difficulty that I have every year too, is that, oh, I'd really like to go to that. Oh, I'd really like to go to that. And I mean, I like you, I could be at a different racetrack every weekend if I wanted, just because there's always something happening. There's a unique experience. A few years ago, there was an open weekend on the Pinty schedule in, I don't know, August or something. I think it was in August. And I think I put up a social post about it. And, what do you do on an off weekend? You go to the races. And I went to Flamborough because Ken Schrader came to town and he was running an event there. So it's like, you go to the races. It's just, it's part of our fiber. It's what we do.
I mean, I know for me, I'm kind of in the part where, like, especially in August, if we have an off weekend, I'm sitting at home and doing nothing, or I'm going to the cottage. Like,
yeah, I understand that too. There are moments.
It's especially, I mean, for us at least, like once we get to August, it's like, I need a break.
But then as quickly as you feel that, oh yeah, okay, I'm just, I'm going to sleep in, I'm just going to have a day or two and just, that's it. It's going to be great. Almost immediately, maybe not the first morning, but the second morning you wake up, you think, okay, I'm ready to get back at it now. It's
during vacation?
Oh,
like in the middle of the season?
In the middle of the season, if you have an open weekend. I mean, it's great and you'll enjoy it and everything, but you're eager to get back to it though.
Maybe in like terms of like the people at the track, of like, oh, like at least like I get to go and hang out with like my people at the track, all that.
That's what it's all about. Yeah.
At least this year, and maybe it's just because this year was the first season after so many kind of shortened seasons, I was really gunning for that season to end. I was really over racing at the end of the season. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Just because it was a longer year than we'd experienced the last couple.
That's maybe it might have also been a little bit of burnout for me. Yeah. I had a lot thrown on me last year, and this year might be very similar, but I think the whole mindset I've kind of learned in the last year in general is just, and this might be the curse of using my passion as my job, is I don't really like the constant grind of it anymore, is what I would say.
I understand what you're saying. And it's before you worked in racing, you had this passion, this hobby, this sport that you enjoyed and you liked and you were really enthusiastic about, and you don't want to lose that working in it. And that I understand, because that can happen, and it does. There are sometimes people will come in and go guns a-blazing, and then after a short period of time, it's, I got to get out. And it's just, it takes away the fun, the joy, the pleasure, because you're consumed by it, and you're sometimes busier than you want to be, or doing things that you don't necessarily enjoy or want to be doing. And it sucks the fun out of the sport for you. I can understand and appreciate it.
Yeah. And it is kind of the point I'm at in my career. So I've really had to set a lot of boundaries with it over this last year. Like, I've worked for NASCAR for 5 years, and I'm taking my first vacation in 5 years this weekend. And I've been to every single person like, please do not call me. I will not answer my phone, because I need a break. I need to just turn it off, because every vacation I have been on since is going away for a weekend, but still on my phone, or like always on standby just in case, or going to a race. Yeah. So I think for me this year, I really need to find that balance of, this is my job and I also love this. And I have those moments that like, it just reinvigorates, like racing just reinvigorates you. Like Daytona, like I'm like kind of gunning for Daytona because just like the excitement of it is just, it pumps me up. GP3R this year, seeing Gannett win was another one for me. Just that magic of seeing someone get their first win, especially at GP3R. It's like that really pumped me up. And then like championship, like always the championship celebrations always make me they're always a little bittersweet because you're saying goodbye to all these people you've spent the last 5 months with, and you're not going to see them again until May or maybe April if you're lucky. But I think this year for me, it's going to be a lot of finding that balance and reaffirming my boundaries of, like I have an off weekend, and, July to middle of September, we don't get a lot of them. And it kind of sucks because living here in Canada, we kind of lose the best parts and time of living in Canada to go racing, but we do it because we love it. But I think coming into this industry so young and trying to get that go, go, go mentality, it took a lot out of me really fast. And I got kind of the short end of the stick as well, because I came into it in a period of time where after my first year, we had COVID and teams were slashed and budgets were cut, and you just kind of had to stick it out for a couple of years. And now we've kind of come through it on the other side, and it's like trying to push forward and trying to reinvigorate that spark that kind of got dragged for a couple of years because of COVID.
I think you touch on an important point, is finding the right balance, because you're right. It's easy to get churned up and be on the treadmill and forget to enjoy what it is we get to do sometimes. In fact, it was a couple of years ago. I was talking to my mom, and she said to me, because I was talking about a busy weekend, like I think it was a Toronto Indy weekend, because normally I'm doing Pinty series and I'm doing other things that weekend as well. So it's very busy for 3 or 4 days. And I was telling her about the weekend, and she said, do you ever get to enjoy it? And I paused for a second, and I said, yeah, I do. And I always tell people too, that's why I keep doing this, is I'm still having fun doing it. And there's a couple times, usually every weekend, where you get to really enjoy moments. Yeah. There's one where drivers are usually introduced and you're standing on the front straightaway or pit lane, and it gets quiet for a second just in that minute before they give the command to fire engines. That's one of the great moments that I just really soak up every time. So there's a few times. There's usually another time where you'll find yourself in the midst of some drivers or team members or whatever, and in the middle of a great conversation. Could be about racing, could be about anything else, but you find yourself kind of swept in, and you happen to be there at that moment where there's a great conversation and storytelling going on. That's one of the moments that I really like and enjoy. And, getting to witness the competition up close. I mean, everybody wants to have a great seat. If you go to a sporting event or a concert or whatever, you and I get to stand on the field while they're playing, which is pretty friggin' unbelievable.
Yeah, and you are right. It's like you get those. For me, it's like I always describe them as chills. It's like, for me, it's like if I'm like right at the start finish line, like the drop of the green flag. Yeah. Or watching a great battle coming to the checkered flag. Like I remember like Kennington at Saskatoon, and then Watson at Delaware, and Gannett at GP3R. Yeah. And Trayton at Sunset this year. And it's like, fuck, there were so many this last year. God, like almost every single one of them.
Yeah, there were great moments, great excitement, and that's part of the reason why it's like, okay, so we've got the same kind of schedule. Well, last year was pretty awesome. We had some really good racing. We had good car counts at every event. So like, let's keep the momentum going.
I'll copy paste that.
Let's keep. Yeah, well, I would take another year of the kind of success that we had in 22 and 23. I think everybody would be pretty on board with that.
Yeah.
Now, over the next couple of months, we're going to see what kind of changes take place with teams, because there's always shuffling that goes along. I don't know if everybody knows or has seen it yet, but Caden Lapsevich is not coming back as crew chief for Andrew Ranger this year.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
I knew he was doing part-time with what's her name? Tony? Terry?
In the ARCA series. Yes.
Yeah.
So we went back and forth. I was asking about, he said, no, he won't be back with Andrew Ranger. So who's Andrew's crew chief going to be this year? These are the kinds of things that are going to start to come up over the next little while. And this is the excitement that we're looking for. This is part of why everybody, I think, was so, ants in their pants about getting the schedule out, because now you can move on to, okay, so how's it all going to shake out this year? So I think that's good. Just to change subjects completely. I have to tell you of a stupid thing I did earlier today.
Oh, you did a stupid.
It wasn't really stupid. It was just dumb, absent-minded, but it struck. I've been giggling about it ever since. So I started going back to the gym again, and I didn't do it on January 1st. I started earlier than that. I went back in December. But I go to the gym, and normally when I pull into the parking lot, I pull to the right to park and then get out of the car and go inside. Just that's usually where the space is. This morning, driving in, and there's a space up closer to the front that's on the left-hand side. So I pull into the left-hand side, no big deal, hop out, go in, weights, elliptical and everything, do my thing. I'm walking back out, and I'm probably checking my phone for something, and I'm a bit absent-minded, I guess. And I hit the key fob to open the door. And my car is a silver 4-door sedan. It's pretty generic. And I'm walking up to the car, and I reach to grab the door handle and look inside. It's like, that's not my stuff. This is not my car. And then I look on the other side of the aisle. Yeah, that's my car. So it's just one of those. Have you ever done that? This is not the first time I've done it. It's been a million years, but it's not the first time I've done it.
Oh, I've done it before. I haven't done it with my car, I think, but I've done it with like my mom's car, or like you just walk up. I think I might have actually done it, and like somebody's been like inside the car where it's like I walk up to this like gray SUV, and it's like might have actually been the exact same model, and walk up, and I'm like, yep, I don't know this person. And just
you're face to face, and they think they're getting carjacked.
And you're just humiliated. Absolute embarrassment. Just, all right, I'm gonna go sulk back to my car now. Thanks.
Well, that's it. You just kind of like, well, what am I doing here? Get it together. And it's just kind of
you over exaggerate the
busy. Yeah. Just busy brain, things going on, checking your phone, stupid stuff like that. Anyhow, it was a dumb thing, but I thought I would share that with you, and I thought you would find that amusing. Do you have food tales or stories or items to?
Well, how was your Christmas? Did you eat any delicious food while
Oh,
you
yeah.
were
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've eaten lots of delicious food. The world's greatest pancakes are in my neighborhood in Fort Myers, Florida. So
pancakes.
Blueberry pancakes from Crave Restaurant in Fort Myers. They are the absolute greatest pancakes in the world. And I will put them up against anyone. Yeah. So ate there a couple times. Went to and found a deep dish pizza place that's not that far from here. It was kind of interesting. So it's called Buddy's Chicago Pizza. Pretty good, not bad. And I wouldn't say it's as good as Giordano's in Chicago, but it's good. I just read today too, funnily enough, that apparently Lou Malnati's will ship pizzas to you, which I may have to do because apparently their deep dish is out of this world good.
Whoa.
Yeah. And have you heard of I've sort of seen it here and there, but I'd never been in before, but we went Duck Donuts.
I have not.
So it's like, I like nice, tasty, fluffy donuts. They're great and tasty and delicious. So we're looking and we see this like duck donuts, like, oh, okay. Feeling kind of hungry. Let's have a little snack, a donut. That's good. So go in and check the menu. And it's like any kind of donut with topping and icing and stuff that you want. And so I'm looking and it's like chocolate or salted caramel bacon and on a donut, or maple bacon caramel with salted caramel swirl. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. I got to try one of those. But I don't see any donuts in racks up on behind the counter. That's because when you order, they make the donut fresh for you and then sprinkle the bacon and the maple icing and the salted caramel on it. And it's still warm when you bite into it. And I can tell by the expression on your face that you are eager to try them. They're awesome.
Where are they?
I think they're a franchise thing. I've seen and heard of them in lots of places, but oh yeah, it was some kind of good.
Duck's Donuts or Duck
Donuts?
Duck Donuts. And I'm assuming they're a franchise in like the US.
Also in Canada.
I swear to God, there's one in Toronto.
There you go. So there's a little something for you to try.
Oh, it's all the way out in freaking Burlington.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's it's pretty good. I think you'll enjoy that.
So far. All right, next time I'm out in Burlington.
All right.
I'll go get some.
So we have a schedule. We're excited, looking forward to it, but you are going to refocus your energies to sea breeze and palm trees like I have behind me for a few days.
God.
I look forward to the tales of food, and
I'll have lots of food stories for you. We're going to an Italian restaurant.
Nice.
That mixes the pasta in the cheese wheel.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm excited.
Nice. I look forward to the many stories of food and other adventures. Well, maybe some you will or won't share with me. I don't know, but we'll see. But I'm sure it will be a good time though. So
we have we have a meeting every Wednesday, and like I said, I'm not doing any meetings or anything while I'm on vacation next week, as I shouldn't. But I was like, should I just like call into this meeting with at 11 a.m. with a pina colada in my hand on the cruise ship, just for fun? No. It would only end in trouble if you're holding the drink in your hand already. It would only end in everyone
trouble.
thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, right. You know what I really think?
It's like, you're so funny.
I always thought that, if you ever won a bajillion dollars in a lottery, like a crazy amount of money that you like, obviously you quit working and do whatever you want to do for the rest of your life. And so does the rest of your family. Mm-hmm. I always thought it would be funny if you kind of went to work for, maybe a week or so afterwards. And, somebody says, hey, would you mind doing that? And you can look at them and go, screw you. No, I'm not doing it. We're doing this instead. And just really have fun with it that way. And then at the end of it all, you just say, see ya.
Goodbye.
Yeah. I thought that would be a fun way to celebrate the win. Okay.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. The opinions, ideas, suggestions, no matter how outrageous, do not reflect the views of NASCAR, TSN, Pinty's, any other network, sanctioning body, racing company, business on either side of the border, broadcast outlet, basically anyone that we may have contact with in the past or at some point in the future. Not theirs, it's all us. No. How's that?
Beautiful as always. What a way to start 2023.
All right. Yes. And our resolution is more regular podcasts in 23.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see how vacation works.